Well, we'll get started. I want to say thanks for taking the time out of your day to join the Code Ninjas executive call. You know, we set up multiple learning channels to allow you to really vet us out and really kind of learn more about us to decide, you know, why you should be a part of Code Ninjas. So thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day. Just to quickly recap and talk a little bit about our agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about our team, a little bit about David Graham, the founder and CEO of Code Ninjas. We'll talk a little bit more about our curriculum. We'll also talk about our model, our concept, what we're doing, and our next steps. Before we get started, just a quick recap for the month of July. We really had quite the turn of really quite the push for Code Ninjas. We had we're now up to 25 franchises in 8 different states. The month of July was a great month for us, and a lot of entrepreneurs jumped on board with Code Ninjas, and it was a great month, and we're looking for August to be the same. At the end of today's call, so once we've completed our agenda on today's call, we do have a question and answer. You'll be able to hit *6, and when you hit *6, it'll virtually raise your hand, and you'll be able to jump on the line and be able to ask your question. So today, I'm going to first start off by just talking about Code Ninjas and who we are as a team, starting off with David Graham. David Graham, the founder and CEO of Code Ninjas. He's been a developer for over 25 years. He went from there, and believe it or not, kind of left that and went into like the fitness franchise business and did well there, sold his fitness center, and opened something called Coder Camps. And Coder Camps is what taught that program, that school or center taught adults how to code. That operated for about 5 years in multiple different cities. And with that team that was there is also the team we have over here with Code Ninjas. And they really were able to see the baseline, really what adults were coming to with knowledge and understanding about coding. And that program, you know, had a 93% placement. Individuals would come in, spend, over 2 months learning coding in the development side of things, and then go out into the marketplace. So the entire team, especially David, really started to think, geez, this baseline is way off. We can get kids here, and kids would ask, parents would ask questions how they could get their kids involved. And David and the team saw how this baseline of knowledge, what people were coming to them, was just really shallow. So the ideas already started flowing about understanding how we could introduce kids into coding. They understand it in a way, as adults, you're learning it in a classroom setting and taking it on a big screen, and it's completely different than the approach of how we would teach kids. So he obviously started thinking more about just how can we put this together, and that's the idea of Code Ninjas was born. And as we'll get into our curriculum and why it is, we see it as something that's going to be successful, and obviously many others do. We also knew, David has been a part of franchising. He's been a part of corporate-run organizations. He knew that the best way to get this to the marketplace and to get this in the hands of more people, that bandwidth is going to require being a franchise. And being his success of really not understanding the fitness industry and being a part of a franchise that really educated him and brought him into his space and was able to be successful there, it was a natural kind of a win-win in his mind, and it really has turned out to be that way. This team consists of quite a few people that have actually been working together for anywhere from 7 to 13 years, and a little bit longer in some cases. We have the teaching adults how to code, that teaching code, that development side, that team. We also have the franchising team with Jeff Thames, Andy Giefer, and myself, who've been working together for anywhere from about 7 to 13 years at a past franchise, and now being a part of Code Ninjas. It was really just a great fit for all of us to work together. And as the Code Ninjas team developed, it was just natural for us to be able to release this fast to the marketplace and to really create the kind of attention that we have so far. And that attention does come from this next point, which is our curriculum. The Code Ninjas curriculum that David and the team, really with David's brainchild, putting it together, is a proprietary blend of curriculum. And so what we've done is we've taken the best tools from the marketplace, and we've added those in with our proprietary curriculum, created textbooks around that, and created a 3 to 4 year program that our kids will go through. So it's a total of 9 belts and white through black belt. When you look at what's out there for kids now, we teach kids how to code through playing video games. We say kids have fun, parents see results. So we are, and I'm learning more and more terms about Jedi mind tricking our kids into learning how to code through playing video games. So they're having fun. The parents are seeing results. And it's not a drinking from a fire hose scenario where the kids are coming to a camp for 3 or 4 days and learning all this information and then having to go back home. We wanted to be, and David saw this as Tim Ferriss said, all great ideas come out of necessity. And David's 2 boys really wanted to learn more about coding. So David really did a lot of research on the marketplace. And what he found was a little shocking was because he knows with his history and the team's history of working with adults, these skills have to be practiced. Critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, the collaboration that's required, the leadership that's required, the math that's required. These all come together, and it's hard to bring that together in just a 1-week camp or a couple of days a week for 6 weeks, right? It has to be something that is a language that is practiced on a regular basis. So our curriculum that we've designed, this proprietary blend with our textbooks, we teach you how to teach the Code Ninjas curriculum. You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to be a developer. We teach you how to teach the Code Ninjas curriculum. By allowing our kids to basically spoon-feeding our students, they're able to practice and hone these skills over a period of time. So these 9 belts, every belt, we created our own LMS. LMS stands for Learning Management System. We created our own called our GDP, our Game Development Platform. And by having our own game development platform, as our kids work through the belt, so for example, the white belt, they have to learn a certain set of skills to be able to build that game at the end of the white belt. So it's not about how much time they spend in the center. It's what they learn as they work their way through. And parents can see exactly how many hours are being spent on what. They can see what their son or their daughter is working on. When they complete that white belt, they have to build a game. That game can only be built with the skills that they learned working through that first belt, and each belt compounds on from there. The textbooks go along with the curriculum. We are the only coding center in the country that has textbooks that go along with our curriculum. So not only can your coaches refer to them, our students can refer to them, our teachers, our managers can refer to them, and they're not sold on Amazon. Kids can't bring them home. They're for on-site only. And we're going to have a Q&A section at the end, so if you do want to ask more questions about any one of these topics, especially with the curriculum, feel free to at the end. The third topic, the third touch on is the Code Ninjas concept and our business model. How does that go with our curriculum? A lot of people ask, well, does a belt cost a certain amount of money? We have a monthly paying tuition program. So parents pay a monthly tuition for their son or their daughter to attend Code Ninjas. We give you the flexibility as a franchisee to determine the number of days that they're allowed to come in, the time limit they're allowed to come in. We've set up a standard inside of our Pearland, Texas location where kids come in twice a week. They stay for an hour to an hour and a half of time, and parents pay a flat monthly tuition rate. And next also is we have that best of the best model because we have our proprietary blend, which is that monthly paying tuition, but then also we have our camps. So we were really able to expand our kids' knowledge base by adding in some camps that go along with our curriculum. We found that half-day camps are, kids can really absorb a lot in those half-day camps, and we can introduce them into different aspects of coding, technology, development. And our camps, we like to have our camps open, so kids, whether they're already a monthly paying tuition student or they're new, we love having kids come into our program that have yet to try our monthly paying tuition, be part of a camp, and getting them coming in by giving them a voucher, they're able to come in, try it for a month, and really be able to experience our, what do you want to call our traditional curriculum. which is that monthly paying tuition. Obviously, there's after-school programs, and I've talked to franchisees who in their communities have before-school programs. So we give you the flexibility as a franchisee. We want to create as many revenue models as possible for you to be able to create more opportunity with inside your Code Ninjas. As we grow and as we understand why we have to be out there in the marketplace, because we want to be known as when you think about teaching kids how to code, we want Code Ninjas to be that brand that you think of, that resource that our communities think of. So when it comes to where we're at and our next steps and how fast you move forward or how slow you move forward, obviously we had a very busy July, and that was for a lot of reasons, and August is starting out to be the same way. When it comes to your next steps, we create these learning channels, right? So we have our executive calls, we have discovery days, we have multiple follow-up calls you can do with the franchise development team, which is myself and Jeff Thames. We are the ones that really help you identify your territories. Where do you want to open up at? Jeff and I work really hard and work really well together to be able to help identify, great markets, and we work together and seeing what does this look like for you? What does the market look like for you? Is this going to be, do the demographics and the numbers make sense for you? So Jeff has, been working together. We've known each other for over 13 years, lots of franchising experience. So we have a really good understanding of these markets and really want to make sure we get you plugged into the right place and the right area. When it comes to the side of it for yourself, after you go through these learning channels, it really comes down to connecting with myself or Jeff Thames to find out where you go from here. We work with a company called Wadsworth Design, so your construction, when it comes to your build-out, your design, we have financing in line. So we have all the resources and all the tools available for you to take those next steps. It really just comes down to when you're ready for it. And like I said in the beginning, we have a Q&A section. David Graham, fortunately, was able to take vacation. So he is not with us today. And also our very first franchisee, which is Angelie, and her husband V, they also were not able to be with us today. So the call is just going to be myself, and I'm going to open up the floor right away for any questions you might have. So you're able to hit *6 on your phone, and that'll kind of virtually. I'll give you some time, but you're able to raise your hand. You can hit *6, and you would be able to virtually raise your hand, and I'll be able to see it, and you can ask any question that you'd like. Yes, sir. Do you have a question?
Yes. What's the revenue projection? And I know it probably varies depending on the market. So for example, I'm in the Atlanta area. Do you guys have kind of any modeling for revenue projections for the franchise?
So when it comes to, and just so you heard, when it comes to the revenue side of the model, unfortunately, there is some restrictions in regards to the actual revenue that we can share. I can share with you what's currently in the FDD, the Federal Disclosure Document, which is our Item 19. And inside that Item 19, in the first 54 days of business that we were open in Pearland, when we submitted those numbers, we generated just a little over $32,000 in revenue. We had 50 of our monthly tuition-paying students, and we had 18 campers enrolled. We do have projection documents that we really can help out with establishing your base operating expenses, but unfortunately with the revenues, we get a little bit handcuffed there. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess I just kind of figured it out. So you have one location open right now, and how long has that been open?
Yeah, you mentioned that the parents have the flexibility to drop their kid off for an hour, hour and a half, or whatever they like. So how do you maintain staffing or capacity ratio if there's no set time frame as to how long kids can be at the center? Hello?
The question was how do we know if when they come into the center, how we regulate the time that they're there. The one part of that is when the kids come in, they have to scan their RFD bracelet at the front, and when they scan their bracelet at the front, that scan in, what that allows them to do is it allows them to access the curriculum, and also it displays on our TV in the center, so the manager and the coaches can see how long they're there for and how long they can be there for. I hope that was helpful. Hope that answered your question. And you have a question, sir?
Yeah, hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hey, I had a question. If you're not going to be fully involved in the day-to-day operations and you hire a manager, what is the typical background of the manager that you would bring on board? I mean, are you looking at somebody that has some experience in coding or just more of a business sense? Like, can you give me kind of an understanding of what you guys would consider a good manager fit?
Yeah, so, no, great question. So what the heart of a teacher, somebody that's going to, remember, they're going to be doing the onboarding process with parents and students. They're going to be responsible for the culture. They're going to be responsible for the day-to-day operations. So we want somebody that has the heart of a teacher. We want somebody that can be engaging with parents and students alike. You know, they have to be go-getters. They're going to have to be understanding how to deliver your message, how to work closely with you, but really managing and running your center on a daily basis. So somebody that's obviously going to be responsible. You know, we have a total job description. We actually have a vendor we work with called Hierology, which you can actually set in your expectations, and they actually have a very nice way of putting qualified candidates together also. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And you have a question? Hello?
Yes. Hey, Marty. This is Steve and Leaf. I'm on the call. Leaf had to take my son to the doctor. But anyhow, I wanted to go more in detail on the marketing. So I know we kind of went over some projections just in general, and I know you mentioned that there is a marketing side of the expense of Code Ninjas. Could you kind of go into more detail of what the marketing side of what Code Ninja, the franchise, provides? I know there's, I guess marketing through Facebook, social media, et cetera, but just trying to get a better grasp of that.
Sure. No, great. So when a part of our team, one of the first things that we did is we hired a digital marketing director that's not just digital, but has obviously a lot more skills and a lot more abilities outside of that. And somebody that I've worked with for many years named Andy Giefer. So part of what we do as a franchise to deliver and to drive traffic, one thing we have committed to, we see ourselves as a franchisee-built franchise. And one part of that is when it comes to the national advertising, which is that 2%, that national advertising fund monies, we dedicate all of that to driving traffic to into our Code Ninjas. We want to be able to track our dollars. Lead acquisition is really important. We want to make sure we're spending our money in the right places. And that's why digital, I mean, not just Facebook boosting, but obviously working closely with Yelp and Google. And when it comes to our SEO search and retargeting, we are consistently delivering our message to the marketplace. What we don't want to do is have our system taken over by an algorithm. We like having hands-on on how we deliver our message to the marketplace. So trademarking, for example, what we're doing to trademark phrases and to be sure that we can own some things so when we deliver it to the market, it is ours. There's not going to be any arguing about it. When it comes to what we're going to do for you is constantly, consistently be driving traffic to your location. We're not going to be splitting up our national advertising fund into how we can drive more traffic to our franchise so we can be a bigger franchise. We don't do that. We want to focus all those monies on driving traffic to your Code Ninjas. So when it comes to the detailed marketing plan of understanding what dollar goes where, right now, obviously being new and not having a lot of money pouring into that, we are focusing strictly on all our digital marketing. And there's actually a reporting down to the dollar per lead acquisition, where it came from, how long it took to get there, that we have together. So we have plenty of reports that show that. And we also have that 18 weeks before you open marketing plan. So your grand opening, your soft opening, what you do starting 18 weeks out before opening.
Okay.
I mean, when it comes to direct mail, when it comes to radio, when it comes to TV, that's a whole other ballgame of monies that are required to get that attention. We would love to be able to do that. That'll be great when we have that opportunity.
Right. And one more question. Sorry for hogging all these questions.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
And this is a generic question. I know each, franchise, location is going to have their varying costs. But just in general, in terms of break even, what are the expectation of X amount of headcounts of students? And this is not, exact number, but maybe a range that, you're expected to have, 40 to 50 kids, just in general. I know cost in one area may be higher in rent versus others. I get that. But, again, this is just in general. So I could kind of get a gauge of what I should be seeing in my projections.
Well, I would say that because I have when it comes to our center, we have to obviously be very careful when it comes to how we talk about break-even numbers and revenues in general. There's so many moving parts. When it comes to if you look at what happened in our item 19 inside our FDD, out of those 54 days, 10 of them we didn't even have a manager. So when you're putting together your projections and your break-even number, your cost of living and where you're at, and I mean, I wish I could give you a number, but I mean that's a really hard question to answer because there's so many moving parts. I would look at the item 19 and know that, I mean, that was 54 days and 10 of it didn't have a manager. So when you look at your projections and you look at your break-even number, man, that's a tough question. I mean, I've had that question for the last 13, 14 years, and that's a really tough question to answer. We just don't have that data yet.
Yeah, and I understand, and I'm looking at my projection actually as we speak, and so I just wanted to gauge to see if and I know you and I kind of spoke offline, but I mean, I guess we could talk about it, in more details on another call. So
yeah, well, I'll see you Wednesday. I'll be seeing you Wednesday anyway. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. All right, and you have a question also?
I do. You mentioned your first franchisee owners. I'd like to know what are some of the challenges that they've expressed that they have faced, And what were the solutions, if there were any, or are they still facing some of those challenges? And my second question is,
Go ahead.
Step by step, if my husband and I were to jump in, what is the first, second, third thing that we need to start doing in order to begin this process?
Sure. Okay. Well, the challenges are going to come, which are pretty typical, is real estate. I don't believe Angelie and V, I worked with them for about 4 months before they decided to jump on. They were all the way down the road with another, I'm not going to say their name, but another coding franchise for kids. They were all the way down the road with them, and they chose to go a different direction. In fact, we have a few franchisees currently that were in the same situation that they are in terms of where they were looking. And the challenge is when we started talking, we talked it from day one, is making sure we understand our real estate. What area, and that goes right into your next question of step by step is, okay, we know that if we know the market that we want and we identify that market, that's like first step, right, in terms of wanting to move forward, is we ID that market. And then, once we ID that market, we secure that market, and then we immediately start looking for real estate. Don't waste time looking for real estate. Don't just say, I'll do it next week, or we'll start that in about a month. Working with a broker, a commercial real estate broker, is really important. And finding the right broker, because it's not just about somebody who's going to find you a space. It's not just about somebody who's going to find you a space and negotiate your lease terms with you. It's also about a broker who's going to represent your case to the landlord. The broker needs to, believe it or not, they need to sell you to the landlord. We're not a new concept. Teaching kids how to code, teaching code is not a new concept. Our brand is new. So what happens is sometimes landlords will, with new brands, whether it's Code Ninjas, back when I worked for Anytime Fitness, landlords are like, I've never heard of this before. What is this? That's where your broker needs to come in and be able to sell you and sell the concept, sell the idea to the landlord. And that'll be really helpful. So when you're looking for a broker, the challenge is going to be finding the right broker. Finding the right broker that is going to, one, negotiate your lease well for you. They have a good reputation. Two, they're also going to educate you on the process. And three, they're going to represent you. They're going to be able to sell you to the landlord. So finding a good, strong broker, we work with one called Morrow Hill. They're out of Dallas. They're licensed in every state. They wrote over 1,500 franchisee leases last year alone. So the challenge is being sure that you understand the relationship between you and the broker and IDing that location inside your market. Does that answer your question? Okay. And you have a question?
Yeah. What is the operating system you guys use for your day-to-day operation and also keeping track of students, payments, enrollments, and so on?
Well, the great thing is that we have a team of developers. So we actually built our own. We have our own operating system that tracks students. It's our own dojo. So we built everything from scratch just for Code Ninjas. So how our students are traced, how much they use the facility, the traffic flow inside, so you know how to staff correctly. The question earlier too was, how do you know how to staff? Just like in any other, trafficed, center, you can actually look at your reporting and you'll be able to see when the busier times of the week and the busier times of the day are. So we built our own operating system that runs your Code Ninjas, and we control that, which makes it, we can make adjustments and advancements and changes as needed for our franchisees.
And a quick follow-up. So as far as the tuition or pricing, so is the tuition based on I'm assuming that you said once a month, so is it based on the date that they sign up? Is it prorated, or is the individual location determine that? And then also, is there a registration fee?
We do not charge a registration fee. For the prorating of monthly tuition, that will be up to the center. We have that $150 to $400 a month range that we ask you to look in, to consider for your Code Ninja. So that $150 to $400 range, that, you know, right now in Pearland we average $199. So we've kind of found our sweet spot there in Pearland, but I know that in some locations, their, you know, cost of living is higher, so they're going to be higher than that.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we got one more question. Feel free to hit *6 at any time. You can keep asking questions. Keep firing away. I love it. And you have a question?
Marty, hey, it's Karen in San Diego. Thanks for taking my question. I have. Yes. I'll sneak in two as well. I'll give you both, and you can answer at your leisure.
Okay, please.
The first one is, I noticed that iCode is doing the same sort of thing with the belt, like the white belt, yellow belt, which I find really disappointing. Is that something you're looking to protect, or is that not protectable maybe? And yeah,
that's something I wish we could protect that, but unfortunately, that's something we cannot protect. And mind you, when you know, some people are going to, when they see a good idea, they're going to want to copy it.
Yeah, it's just such a bummer that they're in the same sort of space, but I hear you.
Well, yeah, and I hear you with that. The problem, the one thing that does make us a little bit more unique is we really demolished the wall of intimidation with our parents and our kids. Where if you go onto some of our, like go onto their website, for example, that's pretty intimidating. I mean, they are very much marketing themselves to go after people that are kids and adults that already know about coding.
Yeah.
We're really going after that. Probably the 99% of the population that really just doesn't know, and we want to pull them into our space so they can see just how fun, how easy this can be, and really experience the benefits of learning how to code in a fun, interactive way. And what was your next question? I'm sorry.
That was pretty good, by the way. That was a pretty good answer. Thank you. My other question is, on the SDD, I think I read it pretty carefully, Section 19. It doesn't seem like it's possible to see the breakdown in terms of how many of those 11 students that were paying monthly, or I don't have my spreadsheet open, but the ones that were paying monthly that paid again the next month, because I think it covers like 53 days. So you'd think there'd be some examples of people that were going month to month that then decided to stay with it or not, or drop out. And my other question,
great question.
Numbers. Yeah, the numbers too. It looks like the way the FDD is written up, it looks like nobody signed up for a camp and a class, like an ongoing monthly thing, which may be the case. And I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts on that, or if that's incorrect.
No, so here's kind of this whole part of it, right? We have 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month agreements. Okay, so when you look at those numbers, to look at the back end of that, we have 3, 6, or 12-month agreements. Also, when it comes to retention, 54 days is really tough to be able to give any sort of good retention numbers. I can tell you, I can't tell you our current numbers in terms of students, and I know that's frustrating, but I can tell you we've only lost 11 students. And to give you that breakdown of 11 students, the first one was David Graham's son, which I find funny, and I hope he's listening because I find that funny. So his son, I believe his oldest son, just didn't feel like he wanted to do it anymore. Okay, so there's one. 4 of them moved out of state. 4 of those students took the summer off and have already re-enrolled for September. And then the other 2 were the 2 that no longer wanted to be a part of our system. They didn't like it. Understandably, you can't keep everybody. Now, obviously, since those, does that helpful?
11 that were enrolled for 1 month paying monthly, and you've lost 11. But I get what you're saying about people moving and taking the summer off makes a whole lot of sense. So that does help. But so were there no students that signed up for camp and an ongoing commitment, which is fine if it is. I'm just trying to get the numbers.
Okay, so camps-wise, we have quite a few kids that are doing camps. That first 54 days, school was still in session. So that's why we had that's why we had at that time we had 50 drop-in monthly paying tuition students at that time.
Right.
And we had 18 campers only because it was just getting started.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and obviously we have a lot more campers. We have more drop-in students. So those numbers have all gone up since then. In fact, we've had a record-breaking month, so which is great. Anything else in there, Karen? No? Okay. See you next week, Karen. And you also had a question? Hello? Sorry if I missed you. And did you also have a question?
Yes, I somehow my computer dropped off for a good 5 minutes, so I had to scramble and get another computer and get you back on. I was the one who asked you to give me all the steps, and I got to step 3. Is there somewhere where I can re-listen to this recording so that you don't have to go back over what you already stated?
Well, yeah, we have recordings of all of our calls. So you can definitely go back to any one of those calls and listen to them. I can send you this one also. But
okay.
Just so you're aware, so it's really easy to go over it. Once you identify your market, you're going to want to secure your territory. And some markets, obviously, we want to go as fast as you want to go, right? We will assist you in this process and your decision-making process as fast as you want to be a part of it and how fast you want to go, we'll go with you. So the distance between step 1 and step 2 really is going to depend upon your market. We have a few people that, we've had a gentleman who his market, he knew his market was going to be popular. He didn't even come to Discovery Day. He said, I just want to secure the market. Mm-hmm. We have multiple people coming from the same markets to our Discovery Day next Thursday. So it really depends on the popularity of your market, that the speed is between step 1 and step 2. Once you've ID'd that market, you've secured that market, which means you're a Code Ninja franchisee. You're going through the whole onboarding process. Right when you become a franchisee, if you have not found a broker, if you want to use a company we work with, they're not a preferred. We call them a preferred vendor, but we don't do kickbacks. We pass all that on to you, so that we can connect you with them. And like I said, they're called Morrow Hill. And they're going to immediately start working with you, building your case, and immediately looking in your market to find locations for you. If you have a local broker, you're going to want to connect with them as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because you could literally, I know an individual that's probably going to be open within 3 months of him signing his franchise agreement. And then we have other timelines that are going to be 6-7 months out from after signing their franchise agreement, and it all comes down to that real estate.
Okay.
Okay.
So after we find the real estate, after we've gotten the broker and we've found the building, what takes place as far as the finance, as far as what I provide financially? When does that all start to take place in the steps?
Okay. Yeah, so when you secure your territory, once you find your territory and then you secure your territory, after that's when you become a franchisee. That's when you pay your we currently have a $20,000 franchise fee. So when I say securing your territory, that means you're becoming a Code Ninja franchisee. You're paying your $20,000 franchise fee. All the finances after that are going to come once you found your space. Obviously you're going to have a general contractor come in. You've negotiated with your landlord, and then your construction process, down payments and such would have to start.
Okay. And the contractor, is that someone that, do you guys help facilitate in looking for that contractor in my area, or is that something that I look for? How does that work?
Well, there's a couple things. Your broker, a lot of times your commercial broker will have contacts with general contractors, and landlords have contacts with general contractors. What we really don't get involved in finding a general contractor. We do have a design manual that we give to you. That design manual has all the steps in there. What you're going to want to do is work with your broker and get walk through spaces, get quotes, and we have a support system. Code Ninja University and our support team is here to help you through that. So when it comes to what do I do next, how do I do this, we're there for you on that. We can walk you through. We want to get a quote on this first before you sign a lease. Let's make sure that the build out is going to be in a reasonable cost, and we obviously can help you with those steps. When it comes to working with a general contractor, that's in your court, and usually brokers and landlords have plenty of contacts for you to work with.
Okay. Okay.
Finding a national general contractor is very, very tricky.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we got another question. Fantastic. Paul, you have a question?
Hi, this is Kristen. I was wondering,
Kristen,
I hate to be negative, but what happens if we open a Code Ninjas and go down the road and we don't seem to be making enough money and we want to stop the franchise? Do we have to go about selling the franchise, or is there a way just to drop out? How does that work?
So when it comes to franchising, enough money, right, is kind of a moving target, but we always want to be able to help our franchisees get out if they're not happy. Whatever that reason is, let's just label it unhappy. Whether that unhappy is in your day-to-day business, you think you love kids and all of a sudden you no longer love kids. Or if it's about the money, if it's about your time, it was taking too much time for you, it's not convenient any longer. There's a lot of reasons I think can equal unhappy. And one thing that we definitely do know as being franchisees is we know how the franchisor should be able, can help. We want to be able to help you get out if you want to get out. We don't want to strong arm anybody to stay. We don't want to high pressure. Jeff and I are not we're not. This is a decision you're making to be with us and be a part of our team. We want to make sure we vet out all these ideas before you come on board. As a franchise, we obviously have rules. We obviously have policies. We don't just let people close up shop all over town. If like I said, not making enough money, you could be, that whatever that might be for reason, if we start closing Code Ninjas, it's going to wreck our brand. So we want to make sure that if you want out, we get you out. And my experience, working with a brand that had 3,500 locations, it's not always about the brand. A lot of times it could be about the owner and the manager before it is about the brand. And we want to be able to help you leave if you want to leave.
Okay.
But just to close up shop, there's ramifications to that. And your biggest one is going to be from your landlord, more than it's going to be for us. Your landlord is going to, you're signing a lease with your landlord. So, I mean, if you just close up and walk away, your landlord's going to be after you a lot faster than we would.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. Have a good day. And you also had a question?
Yeah, quick question. So I think somebody mentioned another school earlier, but what are the direct competitions to this particular franchise, to Code Ninjas?
Sure. You'd have first, it's going to be anybody who fights for our kids' time. Second, it's going to be other coding franchises. And then third would be any other type of independent coding center. So the second one is, I'm guessing what you're asking, which is the Coder School and iCode. One thing I always tell everybody is you just have to line up with which one fits you the best. The business ethics of the company, their drive, their product in terms of which would be curriculum, and then the business model itself. Can those three things stand alone in your mind? And all those three things are yes. The Coder School, they've been in great guys. Talked to them plenty of times. They've been in franchising since 2012. They have about 10 franchisees. iCode's been franchising for a few years now. They do not have any franchisees. And there's a few independents out there that have been doing it for quite a few years. And they all do a camp-based style curriculum.
Okay. Does the location in Pearland, does that have any direct competition there? Or what was the reason that you guys started with, I'm assuming, I don't know if David's from Texas or not, but
Because it was, honestly, it was a mile from his house.
Okay.
So he's like, you know what? It's a mile from his house. He wants to be there. I mean, there's coding camps in the community during summer. There's other tutoring centers. I mean, there's mathnasiums, there's Kumons. You know, there's other tutoring centers, and there's coding camps in the summer. So, and that's pretty familiar with most markets. Most markets out there are going to have coding camps, technology development camps during the summer, and they're going to have tutoring centers in town like Kumon, Mathnasium, Sylvan, Huntington, and sometimes they do camps. But that's pretty typical market, and that's another reason why that made sense.
All right, thanks.
Wonderful. Hello, and you have a question?
I do. I have two. So in going back to the unhappy owner, I just want to clarify. So I heard that you said that you help the owner get out if they wanted to, but what does that mean? Does that mean that the owner could sell, or the franchisee could sell the business?
Yes.
Okay.
And we receive about 15 to 20 prospective inquiries every couple of days. So there's no shortage of individuals that are interested in Code Ninjas. In fact, our Pearland location has only been open for 5 months, and there's 3 different individuals that are lined up that are digging in and looking to purchase that facility, and it's only 5 months old. So they have the P&Ls, they have our sheets, they have everything, and they're looking to purchase that location, and it's only been there for 5 months. So, you know, I think as we move forward, any franchisee has to understand and know that as a franchisor, we're going to do everything we can do to help you be successful, and we're going to try to make you happy, but we can't always make everybody happy. And if you're not happy, we're better off having you leave the system than stay in the system and be unhappy.
Absolutely, and it is promising to know, though, that you can get out without having to lose your shirt, so to speak. Okay, and my second question is, I read in the FDD that it's okay for another Code Ninja to open up within the same proximity or vicinity, and I see how that may benefit the owner, the franchisor, but obviously it's detrimental to the franchisee. So is there a certain distance that is required, or, could it literally be around the corner? That's a concern.
Well, and I'll tell you why that is. So when it comes to your center, let's say you've decided you're out, you're done, you don't want to sell it. You've completely gone off the deep end negative. You don't like me anymore. You don't want anything to do with it, and you're bucking the system, and you want nothing to do with it. What we can do as a franchise is we can recover our brand and prevent any damage by immediately going into your marketplace and opening and doing any damage control that we can do. Or if you're coming to the end of your franchise agreement and you say, oh, I'm going to sell this to my brother-in-law for $1, and he's going to run it and call it Ninja Code and try to buck the system, we can immediately come across the street from you and reestablish our brand presence and strength as Code Ninjas. So when it comes to protected...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so when it comes to protected territories, I'll let you do... No, seriously, you can go first.
Okay. What if everything is going along swimmingly, and everybody's happy and content, and someone comes along and says, I would like to open up a Code Ninja around the corner from the other Code Ninja, and there's no problems that have been there's no indication of issues or problems, will that be granted?
No, we're not. We do not want our franchisees fighting over the same students. We have a protected territory. We do not allow major encroachment into your territories. Now, if your market grows like crazy and something happens, we do allow encroachment. We just don't allow major encroachment, which means we're not going to put a center a block and a half from you. That is, if you look at the franchising system out there and you look at great franchises, we're a percentage-based franchise, not a flat fee-based franchise. And that works in the favor of the franchisor and the franchisee. If we're a flat fee-based franchise, the only way the numbers work for us to be successful is to open up as many units as possible. And we're not a flat fee. We're a percentage-based. So we need you to be successful. We need you to be, the more money you make, the better it is for you and the better it is for the franchisor. So, but it does not work in a percentage-based franchise to open up centers a mile and a half from one another. We have a customer base that's only so big, and by cannibalizing ourselves, we create a very uncomfortable culture inside of Code Ninjas, and a very uncomfortable culture inside of communities. So it's not just about the franchise; it's also about the community, because you have people fighting over one another. And like I said, we're a support-built, franchisee-built company. We know what it's like to have a franchisor, plop down a center 3 miles from us, and it scares the living bejeebus out of you, because this is your livelihood. This is where you're investing your time, effort, energy, your money. We don't need centers opening up, a block and a half up the road.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you. Okay, so if there are any other questions, you can hit *6, and we can dive in. Otherwise, I appreciate those questions. Those are all great questions. If nobody else has any other questions, I would say we can wrap up our call today. If you want to connect further with myself or Jeff Thames, I'm assuming that most everybody on the line has talked to us already. Feel free to. You can email me at marty@codeninjas.com or jeff.thames@codeninjas.com. You can reach out to us at any time, and we would be more than happy to answer any of your questions and talk to you at length more about Code Ninjas and kind of where we're going and why things are going so well for us today. Otherwise, thanks for taking. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. Thank you.